Okay, so we had a wild final week. What you see on the screen, this is the playoff matchups that we have. We know these now, so I figured, let's make a video, talk about them, give my thoughts on, my first impressions on what these games will be. So we're starting in the NFC because, again, we still have a game left to be played that does have playoff implications, so we'll get into the AFC in a second, but we still know most of what we're going to see. And in the NFC, of course, we know it all. There's no NFC regular season game left. First, Green Bay, as we all know, they get the 1 seed. Tampa Bay, who ended up tying Green Bay with the 13-4 record, although you have to wonder if the Packers played out that final game of the season, they probably would end up 14-3. Regardless, Tampa Bay is going to get to play Philadelphia, and you have to think that is the most favorable matchup out of these ones. Now, listen, anything can happen any given Sunday, but as a Buccaneers fan, I am going to say I'm much happier that it's going to be Philadelphia than it is going to if it were to be San Francisco or Arizona. But again, we've seen crazier things. I'm not taking Philadelphia for granted whatsoever, especially as we've seen Tampa Bay kind of limp into this postseason with all the injuries and players quitting that they've had. The other one, how about this? The 6 and 3 seed, two historic teams with the Cowboys and the 49ers. That's kind of fun. I like that stuff. And it should be a really interesting game. I'm actually very much looking forward to that. I think that these are, two very good teams. I don't think it's obvious which one's going to win. And same thing of, the 4 and 5 seed. How about a rematch of a rematch, the third time now that the Rams will be playing the Arizona Cardinals. Both times were kind of surprising upsets, which is rare that happens when it's, opposite ways both times, because Cardinals won the first matchup, Rams won the second matchup. Who will break the tie and move on to the next round? Really interesting stuff in the NFC. All right, moving over to the AFC now. So here's what we know. And just to be clear, what you see on the screen right now, I put on the screen what we would see happen if the Chargers won first. We'll then get to the Raiders and if they tie. But first, what we know is the 1 through 4 seeds. It will be Tennessee as the 1 seed, Kansas City as the 2 seed, Buffalo as the 3 seed, and Cincinnati as the 4 seed. Now, probably Pittsburgh and Kansas City will play each other in round 1 unless there's a tie. Pittsburgh is going to get in as the 7 seed. They cannot do better than that. So for Pittsburgh, playing Kansas City, a team that smoked you early on this season, that's a little bit concerning if you're a Steelers fan and optimistic if you're a Chiefs fan. This is why you want to get the 2 seed, right? You get the most favorable matchup each time. The 3 and 4, again, the next matchups are a little bit up in the air because it does depend on if the Raiders or the Chargers win. Like, look, this is if the Raiders win, what we would see is that the Raiders would move up to the 5 seed. So that's kind of the interesting shift, is if you're a Patriots fan, maybe you'd rather the 5 seed than the 6 seed, so you want to root for the Chargers to win. And this would be interesting because, if this happens, the Patriots would play the Bills round 1. So you'd get that, again, the third time seeing a team play each other, which is always fun. And even the Raiders-Bengals, I think, would be an interesting game. Now, at least that's what I say on paper, but it should be mentioned the Bengals did blow out the Raiders early on this season. So maybe you would think that, the Chargers playing Buffalo and the Patriots playing the Bengals might make for more interesting games. I think that's probably fair, but still, I think that it's still an interesting game. Again, the whole chaos of the Colts, figuratively fumbling the ball and at times literally fumbling the ball against Jacksonville got them knocked out. So that kind of, puts Pittsburgh in there, which is kind of fun. Finally, this would be if the Raiders and the Chargers tie. This would mean the Chargers are the 6 seed, the Raiders are the 7 seed. So the argument of why you don't tie would be for the Raiders. Maybe they feel like, hey, we don't want to have to play Kansas City. Let's try to get the 5 seed. Maybe it's worth it. I don't think it is. I'm totally in team play for a tie. I like that stuff. I think it makes some sense. You basically get a bye week. Your players are rested, so why not play for a tie? And there's no rule saying you can't do it, so I don't really have an issue with playing for a tie. They don't want to do it, which, okay, fine. If they feel like it would be kind of like a way of cheating for them to play for a tie, then I can understand why that's, the whole appeal of sports is to achieve greatness. And if you feel like that's a cheap way to achieve greatness, then I do get it. I understand both sides. I really do. But to me, I've always been a believer in, hey, if you find a wrinkle in the rule book that benefits you, take it. So if this sort of happened, the Chargers would still get the 6 seed, but the Raiders would get the 7 seed instead of the Steelers. So, yeah, interesting stuff. And hey, it's basically all wrapped up. Only one regular season game left. Essentially, from here on out, we're just in playoff football at this point. Every game matters. Every game is do or die. There will never be, from here on out, every team that loses the football game, it'll be their last football game of the season. So that's the way I'll phrase it. But yeah, interesting stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed all of my videos today. I've been making a lot of content. I'll probably be covering the Raiders-Chargers game tonight, so be on the lookout for that. And a podcast where we'll break everything down. Should be fun. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Of course, let me know what you think of all this craziness in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.